אוקיי, חבר'ה מוכנים? A 1, 2, 3, and...
אוי די שומע באור יהודו וחוצה ירושלים 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 כל צועים כל צחום וכל שמחו כל חסון וכל קלון כל צועים כל שמחו וכל שמחו כל חסון וכל
Welcome, Hillel. Hoping all is well. Shavua Tov, Ma Nishma. Amazing. I felt you'd be someone to really, speak to, being that we're coming out of such an amazing time. It's been an amazing marathon of Chagim and Yomim Tovim, a time of connection, a time of closeness to Hashem. We feel, of course, the Zman Simchatenu and the Simcha, and that's amazing, amazing boost at the beginning of the year. But the ideal and the question is, how do we bring that? How do we carry that into the entire year? And being that you're someone who's, of course, not only producing music and, singing at events and singing at weddings, which are incredible, the simcha that's going on there, but you're also in the Beit Midrash, you're learning Torah, which is like the greatest good that we have. I felt you'd be someone to really speak to. And with that, I wanted to ask you, what the first question is, how do you do, how do you do that? Being that you're coming to someone's one of their most special events of their entire life. Of course, one of the greatest days of their life is their wedding. How are you able to, you must have that simcha yourself, and it must mean that, in order to be able to give that to others, you must have it within yourself. So how do you do that? How do you spread that simcha at someone's, at the greatest day of someone's life?
So I'll tell you the truth, the first time I did a wedding happened to be a friend of mine from yeshiva. I was still a bacher, and a friend of mine got engaged and he didn't have any money. And somebody walked over to me and asked me if I'm willing to sing at his wedding. And me being me, I said, yeah, why not? And when I got to the wedding and I was standing on stage and it's starting, I suddenly realized, what am I doing? I might be ruining somebody's most special day. Why did I take this upon myself? Not because I feel that I'm scared of anything. It's not my type. I'm not too shy. But when I realized the responsibility that I took upon myself, that I'm actually somebody's simcha is in my hands right now, it was a scary thought for a moment. And as the wedding went along, and I realized that, listen, everything's okay. So I realized that it's not as complicated per se as people think it is, and it's a lot about the approach. And I've definitely been working on that for a while. And as a bacher, I did it kind of only for friends who asked me from yeshiva. I didn't really go out there and try to get out as a singer. I think a starting point of when my performance became real was after my own wedding. I had an incredible time at my own wedding. I had such a gewaldige simcha at my own wedding. And when I stand at weddings these days, I kind of get a flashback to my own wedding, and I see the chassan, and I still can remember it, and I hope it stays like this. I can remember my own wedding, of the dancing, coming into dancing, and just the energies of dancing with all the guys, and it's a reminder of the responsibility that I have. I actually had a concert once. I think, I'm not sure which one it was, but I think once I performed with Simcha Liner when he came here to Israel, and somebody asked me before, "Are you nervous?" Because it was a few years back. I was still pretty new. And I told him, no, I'm not nervous. He's like, what? How can it be? What's the worst that can happen here? The crowd will boo me out. The whole crowd will go boo, boo, and whatever. I'll go home and be like, oh man, that didn't work out too well. But it's okay. Versus every wedding that I go to and I get on the stage, I realized I might be messing up somebody's most special day. That's much more nerve-wracking. Obviously, as time goes on, you get more experience and you really learn the ins and outs and the possible issues that could come up at weddings, and they could come up. Every wedding has two sides to it, two families, and multiple requests from the crowd. And with time, as you get more experience and really know how to balance different technicalities that come up, and you stay with the correct mindset of this is a responsibility that I have, and you do your best.
Right. That's amazing. I'm sure you get tremendous siyata dishmaya and everything. It's so interesting that, when you mention the technical aspect of things, there are a lot of technicalities, whether it's with the instruments or, the technology or the soundboard, that type of thing, but also the mood and the setting. Could be there's a specific song you're singing at the meal time, specific song you're singing at the chuppah, and then at the dancing. There's, of course, there's so many different aspects. And you mentioned also the mindset of the responsibility, and that could be a lot of pressure at times, and we, in our lives, we have a lot of responsibilities. We have, of course, our mishpacha, our family, our jobs, so many different things that we're responsible for. And there's also so many technical aspects to life as well that we have to work on. Is there at any point during the chasana that it's kind of like you've reached a certain flow where you're not really, those things are kind of like you've reached kind of like a peak where you just feel just simcha coming from you. You just feel like you're able to push a lot of the technical pressures aside and just be able to be mashpia and spread simcha. And how do you come to that point if that is something that you've experienced?
So the truth is, while I'm mentioning this feeling of responsibility, that itself has its downside to it. I'm overall that type of person. I get very, very like uptight about making sure that everything's going correct. And sometimes I'll be performing with my band and my guitarist is late, and I feel I'm like very, very like kind of, you can call it upset about it, because what do you mean? How could he come late? There's somebody's simcha over here. And it continues throughout the music, making sure everything's going well, and nothing is going like it's going to mess up the dance. And at first, I was very, very uptight, and I was always like kind of call it scared throughout the wedding to make sure, and I was very pressured to make sure things were going well. And at some point, I don't remember exactly when it was, I noticed it, and I think that the number one step to solving problems is noticing them. I noticed the problem. And realized that I was really doing it the wrong way. Now, it's still a good thing. It just, at the same time, I've invested a lot of energy since then to learn how to let loose as well. And I kind of try to balance the two. I start off with the responsibility and understanding the situation, really noticing different technicalities that have to be worked out. At the same time, as the music starts, and I'll share with you an interesting story that happened to me. I was on the bus once where I live here in Beitar, and I was listening to music. And I need to learn the new songs to be updated. So I'm listening to music to learn the new songs. And the young teenager got on the bus, and he has headphones on. He's dancing around like crazy, just like going crazy. My first thought was like, what a like brainless teenager. Like what is he's just like, life doesn't mean anything to him. Then I stopped myself. I said, 1 second. You're supposed to think about something positive and learn something from everyone. And I stood there and thought to myself. And then I walked over to the guy and I said, can I talk to you for a second? And he took off his headphones. And I said, I want to tell you that you taught me a great lesson. I'm looking at you listen to music, and you let it make you happy. You let it take you over. You let it just take over your life and make you happy right now. And I'm not doing that. I'm standing here listening to music. And true, the reason why I'm listening to music is for a technical reason, to learn the new songs. But why am I standing with a frown? Why is my face still? I'm listening to something that's supposed to bring simcha to me. Why am I still just like listening to it as a technical thing? That I'm not going to start dancing around like you on the bus, but you definitely taught me a lesson to get into things. And I'm a little bit involved with youth as well. And I kind of tell this to guys. I tell them, if whatever you're doing, whether it's something that is ideal or not most ideal, at least enjoy it. If you're doing something enjoyable, enjoy it. Let it make you happy. If you let something make you happy, your life is going to be different. So I really like, since then, like a lot when I'm standing on the stage, a lot of it is while I'm singing, and between like I sing a song, then I let the music take over for a little bit, and just to dance while I'm doing it. I need to dance and like really let myself enjoy the song besides for working. I need to enjoy the music and really get kind of carried away and let loose to let the Simcha really get to its peak.
I love that. Wow, that's incredible, right? Just the fact that we can allow ourselves to be besimcha is empowering and brings us tremendous simcha. Wow, amazing. And that actually really leads up to the next question I had, which is that I'm incredibly fascinated by your schedule, very fascinated by the lifestyle. Being that during the day you're invested in yourself, you're in full-time learning, you're in Avrich and Kollel in Eretz Yisrael, and that takes a lot of course calmness. It takes yeshuva das. You need to have a certain sense of peace of mind. You're in the Beit Midrash, you're learning Torah, you're thinking, you're really investing in yourself. And then at nighttime, when you're scheduled, you have a wedding or you have an event, it really forces you to really get out of yourself and spread joy. So how exactly do you do that? How do you keep up the balance? And how are you able to do that? Because you really have to, whether it's the dancing, the singing, the energy, it's not only, of course, to one or two people. You're really, it's a whole hall of people that are dancing, and that's really you're really, I mean, of course the event has that power, but as well, the music and the singing really contributes to a lot of the energy that's going on in the room. So how do you balance the two lifestyles every day?
So I would have loved to say that I do them both to the max. I send call and I'm focused 100% on learning, and then the wedding I just complete switch modes. But I can't say that it's like that. It's obviously a challenge, and I think it's important to accept that life isn't a piece of cake, right? Meaning, like there's things that are hard to work out together, and it's pretty much all about staying focused and doing the most I can to take each area to its max, right? I understand why I'm doing this, meaning I feel like a big danger in the wedding singing business, and maybe we'll talk soon about this more. But you kind of get carried away. There's a whole fantasy of like, oh my gosh, I'm a superstar, and this is so awesome. Music is so amazing, and bringing simcha to people, and you kind of like let yourself go way further than you would have really done if you would have thought about it carefully. And Baruch Hashem, I'm zoche not only to sit in kol, but I'm zoche to have a close Rebbe, and to ask him and kind of make sure to stay on track. Right? There's a reason why I'm doing it, and like there's a reason why I choose to do the different things. I send to learn kol because I believe that learning Torah is the most important thing that I can do as much as I can, and at the same time, I understand I need to bring Parasha to the family. And if Hashem gave me a specific talent, maybe it's something He wants me to develop and bring Parnasa that way. And I just try to like constantly keep them in the best balance possible, pretty much.
Wow, that's amazing. Do you ever bring the people, I know a lot of people also when they're learning Torah, they're singing. So is that your style in Limud Torah? Do you sing with it's called the beautiful cold Torah? Do the people in the Beit Midrash also get a little preview of your singing as well?
So throughout the day, normally I learn with a chavrusa, so it's more like yelling than singing. But when I'm learning on my own, I'll learn with a niggun like anyone else would, and like in a way, those nigunim are closer to my heart, at least. Meaning, when you sing at a wedding, you have to do what's popular and know what the crowd wants. Versus when you're learning, you're not giving service to anyone but Hashem, and you just sit there and do whatever niggun comes out from your heart.
Wow, that's amazing. That's incredible. How does song help with your avodas Hashem or with your limud Torah? Does it help the Torah resonate more, or is it just more enjoyable?
It's an interesting question. Singing in general, like we know, is something which is a very, very high darga. Music is something that is famous from the Gra. That if not for Torah, like if not, like I think he would do his music. Excuse me. And like there's definitely something very, very ruchni about music. I've had times that I had a very, very special inspiration towards music and just sat down with a piano or guitar or whatever I had available at that moment, and I just had to play a song. Or there was a time that I felt a certain feeling I need to daven or something. I just had that instrument next to me. However, like in the day-to-day, I don't find it, at least for me, as such like a really leading thing. Meaning, like it's not that I use singing in my everyday, like, to develop my learning. It's something that I recognize, something which brings tremendous simcha to me, to people, and overall adding simcha in our life, I think, is one of the keys. I remember there was a certain point, I was still a bacher, and there's some challenge that I was dealing with. I was feeling a bit down about it, and I was waking up late, and I was missing shacharis in yeshiva, and I was like asking myself, like what's going on? I'm like, it's never happened to me. I was stark. I always got up for shacharis, and then I told myself, I answered. I said, listen, it's not my yetzer hara that's preventing me from getting up for shacharis. It's just I'm kind of sad. I'm feeling down right now. It's not like a yetzer hara that I have to not get up for shacharis. I'm just feeling down. And then I suddenly realized, like, 1 second. Okay, this might sound a little Breslov, but sadness is yetzer hara, right? Like, so I don't know too much of what Nachman says, but this is something that everyone believes in. It's just a very strong point amongst Breslov, which is that sadness is something which is yetzer hara, and it's an overall thing. Meaning, this is something that you find also in the Bali Musar. I think Dessler talks about it. There's a Bechira Pratis, something you have a specific Nisaya, and then there's Bechira Klalis. This is an overall Bechira that can really be the basis of many decisions you make. And obviously, Simcha is a very, very major one. Anything you do, if you're B'Simcha, every challenge that will come across, like throughout the day, is you're going to have a completely different approach. So I don't, like, while I don't find singing really like going hand in hand as part of my limud Torah and avodas Hashem, it brings simcha to my life, which definitely allows me to be energetic and face avodas Hashem the right way.
That's amazing.
It comes across in davening as well, meaning the chazan and shul, and like tefillah is something that I like davening chazan. Actually, the yeshiva you learned him, Siva Saran, I daven as about tefillah there, Yom Noraim. And the main reason I like davening about tefillah is because it gives me more kavanah in my davening. When I'm singing and leading the singing, definitely enhances my davening.
Wow, it's amazing. It's amazing also that you bring a lot of Divrei Chazal about Simcha, and it actually reminds me of something that I saw in Lukutei Eitzos, which is Rabbi Nachman, and he says something that's actually it's beautiful. He says that Simcha is something that a person can have Simcha with one thing. They could be Simcha about one thing, but it's not possible naturally to be happy with multiple things at the same time. What does he mean? So he says, actually brings an example of a wedding. It's amazing. So he says that in a wedding, there could be one person who's so happy with, let's say, the chassan and kala are so happy, with their marriage. The parents are very happy with the shidduch, and everyone is happy with the shidduch. There could be one person, he's like focused on the food. He like mamish loves the food. Another person who's very focused on the music, like they're just enjoying the music so much at that moment. Could be at a different moment, they're happy with a different thing. But he says at one moment, you can only be besimcha with one thing. But he says that it's possible that the only way it's possible to be besimcha with everything at the same time, there's only one way. And he says that's to be besimcha with the source of all the simcha. And that's Hashem. When a person is samech b'Hashem, the person is happy with Hashem, and they see that all the good that's happening at this wedding, all the good that's happening in their lives is from Hashem. So then they can be mamish b'simcha with everything at the same time. It's like a full-on experience where either for example, at this wedding, a person is mamish enjoying, they're so happy for the chassan and kala, they're mamish enjoying the event to the fullest and maximum with the food and the music. It's the most powerful thing. So it just reminded me of that idea, and I wanted to share that with you as well, because it's so it's so practical as far as so appropriate as far as like you being at the wedding and being the person who's leading a lot of the simcha there. If you have any advice for people going into the year to bring that simcha from Zman Simchatenu, from the Chagim into the year, how a person can really have that midah of simcha and joy throughout their year and every single day of their lives.
So the truth is that something that's happened to me recently, as I've been really getting to more and more weddings, and I've been coming across more and more people. Naturally, I meet people that I get along with, and people that I get along with less. Like, as much as I would like to get along with someone, often someone will have a certain perception on who the singer is. Sorry, excuse me. Someone will have a certain perception on who the singer is, and based on that, they're gonna just come in and like say something very rude, and like, what do you want from me? And you come across certain people that kind of get you upset, and I think that when you talk about life in general and for everyone, one of the things that would most prevent us from simcha is people who upset us, right? And or like different things that people did, people's actions, people's words that upset us and kind of affect our day. And I think that it's obvious that the best way to deal with that is a midah of dan l'kavzchus, which is something that we all try to work on, hopefully. And recently I thought about a new eitzah of how to be down someone l'kavzchus. And the eitzah is to notice when you're expecting somebody to do something, like you're expecting a certain person to do something which you view as the right thing. Right? To always ask yourself, am I expecting them to do that because that's the actual right thing to do? Or am I expecting them to do that because that's what I would like them to do? Right? Often you'll ask someone for a certain favor and you don't even think about actually how much it makes sense from their point of view. There's what you naturally would like them to respond. And when they don't respond that way, you can get upset about it. You can get upset about the way they're behaving when you expected something else. And that's a question to really ask ourselves all the time. When I'm expecting something from somebody else, am I expecting that because that's what I really think that's correct to do, or because that's what I would like the person to do? And the more we can really bring ourselves, whether it's this eitzah or any other eitzah, of really understanding where other people are coming from, and not letting little actions that other people do really take over our day. There was a certain wedding that I was at recently where somebody like acted in a I would say very rude way towards me, and that moment I really felt like I just wanted to fold up and leave, and the person hired me, they're not acting even half decent. Why am I here giving the person service? And just from like one moment of calming down and realizing like why am I letting this take over the whole scene? There's a whole wedding here. There's a chassan and kala, and there's the other side. So because one parent of one side said something, now let it take over the whole simcha and let everyone in the hall be aware that the musician left. It doesn't matter what the person did. The person can do the most horrible thing towards you, but don't let it take over your whole day. Let your day continue. Let things continue on. It's okay if something happened. It's not the most ideal. Right? Obviously, you can. Another eitzah says emunah, understanding that's all from Hashem. There's plenty of eitzahs, but the main thing is just not letting little actions of people or words of people take over your day and your life, and stay b'simcha.